Going? All right, it's going. We could edit.
Good.
Cut it out. Hi, Gregg Hoffman here, co-founder of Urban Pump Personal Training Studios, and also co-founder of Urban Pump Enterprises. And that entity is going to launch our franchise. In other words, the personal training studio business we have, we're going to spread far and wide, get the message out there to a greater degree. I'm very excited about it. So is my wife Sharon. Today, in this interview, we're going to talk to somebody who's we've known for quite some time. Her name's Barb Granica. Say hi.
Hi.
And the reason why we're talking with her is because she has gone through our certification program, the Hystrength certification program. She's been a personal trainer now for 10 years, branching out on her own, using some of the principles she learned with us and incorporating and integrating some other things that she's picked up along the way, and she has a very successful business. Anyway, we want to talk with her, get some insight how she feels about things, and a little bit about her experience. That's what this is all about. So, Barb, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. I really appreciate this. As a matter of fact, I'm very grateful for the relationship we've had over the years. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to share too. Good, good. So, if you can, tell us your first experience with me, because we first met long before Sharon was in the picture, but I've been doing this for a long, long time. So let's start there.
Absolutely. I met you in 1993 when you were doing some personal training out of your basement, and you had put together.
It's a recurring theme, by the way.
Yes, exactly.
Go
But you
on.
were offering it through Colorado Free University. It was a 6-week program. I was so excited back then. I was in my early 30s because I loved to exercise. Prior to that, I did things like biking and hiking, but I always would admire women who looked toned. I mean, that was the big word.
Yep.
Everybody wants to look toned. And the Jane Fonda videos just weren't doing it for me. And I loved the idea of getting in the gym and lifting free weights. So that's when I first met you, and we met for the 6 weeks. And after that, I went off on my own, to the gym very sporadically. I did not have a disciplined approach to exercise at all. So that was my first impression of you, and didn't see you again for years, almost 2 decades.
Yeah.
And Sharon had a get together at your place back in 2008. It was the spring of 2008, and I will never forget that night because I remember going to the door, and initially the program was supposed to be about interior decorating, which is another fun topic to discuss. And she came to the door and she apologized. Her friend was ill. She said, "I've asked my fiance to speak about exercise instead." Well, I just lit up. I'm like, well, that's even better. And we went upstairs, and you, I was captivated. I think you spoke for maybe 30 to 45 minutes. I remember sitting on the edge of the couch, and you had such passion and especially knowledge about exercise then. And I think, if I remember, I know what I took away from it, but I'm sure you were trying to tell us the importance of exercising and how beneficial it would be for women, because it was an audience of women that you were speaking to.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember going home that night very excited and declaring, I want to be a personal trainer. I was so caught up in your enthusiasm and knowledge, and I thought, I can do this. And you had mentioned that you offered an internship program. I called you the very next day, and you said, let's get going, and we did.
Good. Very well done. I remember that talk. We had, about 8 or 10 women there?
At least, yeah.
And for the most part, I don't really know if they were interested in what I had to say, but Barb certainly was. Right? And I do recall seeing her being very engaged in the topic in the lecture that I was doing that day, and she did ask a lot of questions. The main theme that I was trying to get across to the women that day, and it's not just women, but everybody, in my opinion, is that strength training, intense strength training, is the key to the fountain of youth. That is my base message. And as far as getting tone and definition and reshaping the body, strength training is it. As Barb mentioned, that when she tried the other forms of exercise, she just couldn't quite get that. Most forms of exercise can't. Strength training can't. So that's kind of the crux of how we started our business, or the whole business model. But anyway, I want to bring it back to Barb and ask, so once you got certified, I, and now you're a trainer.
Yes.
You're doing your own thing. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So, with your help too, you helped me set up my studio in my home. And I have a much smaller space than you have, but I have all the equipment I need. I have all the equipment I need and all the space I need to train one-on-one with people. And from the get-go, how I have marketed my company, I call it One Tough Cookie, to is two women in particular, but I do train men, I train people of all ages, and I tell them about how efficient and effective it is. And we have a lot of fun too, because it is quick paced, and it's not only quick paced for the 30 or 40 minutes that we're together, but it's you get quick results. I always tell everybody who comes to me to get from the get go, give me 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks even, and come see me at least twice a week those first few weeks, and you will be amazed. And they are amazed. And the results could be everything from increased energy to weight loss to feeling ripped and toned and stronger, mostly stronger. People say, I cannot believe how strong I am. And I think that, especially women, they're afraid if they're going to lift heavy weights, they're going to get big and bulky, and they don't. And they're just tickled pink about it. So I am, again, very grateful to you for helping me set up my studio, and I do adhere largely to what you taught me way back then. I know over the years you've tweaked it a little bit and refined things, and I continue to see you as often as I can as your client, but I always pick up what is he doing a little differently, and I know sometimes I ask you questions, sometimes I show you things as well.
Yes.
And as we both know, with the populations that we serve, a lot of people walk in the door with injuries, and we have to work around those. And I know I've turned to you sometimes and said, Greg, what would you do if somebody had a rotator cuff injury or something like that? And you've been very generous in supporting me. And so as you started this new enterprise of franchising, I'm happy to tell people that you are there to support them through. It's not like you're just thrown out into the wild, wild west and you do your own thing. You're an excellent source and a mentor to everybody who trains with you, to become a trainer, as well as people who train with you to train.
Thank you. Really, thank you. And she's absolutely right on that. As far as this next venture, the franchise that we're doing, that is my goal, is to teach and to be a guide for everybody who comes on board to do the best job that they can in the field of fitness. It's amazing, just really the difference you can make in people's lives if you have a customized program that fits each individual, able to work around injuries, post-rehab issues, so on and so forth. So if you sign up, if you come on board and buy one of the franchises, that's the kind of support you'll get. You will be one of the better, if not the best, personal trainers in your area. It's just a big part of what we do and what we feel passionate about. So if you can, tell me, what are some of the things that you do differently? I'm curious, that you incorporate into what you do with your personal training.
What I do differently, well, first of all, like I said, I have different equipment from what you have. But we have, as you and I have discussed, for instance, I don't have a leg press machine, mostly because of space.
Yeah.
So what we've discussed is, okay, what does a leg press accomplish? It gives us strong glutes, hamstrings, quadriceps, calves, etc. So we've discussed that we can do a lot of lunges and squatting. So I know I do more lunging and squatting than you might have a client do. So again, it's not that you have to have the specific equipment, but there are ways to work around that make it work for your space. And then probably what I do a little differently than you is I incorporate more of a warm up with people and a cool down, just so we can have time to talk, because what I've found is that a lot of clients, they want to be social, and I'm happy to engage them in that, except when we're working. As you know, we're not to be chit-chatting, although I know sometimes I'm guilty of that myself. Anyways, so that might be a little bit different. And then I don't know what the age range of people are that you work with. I mean, I have a client that's as old as 94. So we have to do a lot of what we work on is getting up off the floor.
Yes.
I always tell them the most important thing I can teach you, Dale, is how to get up off
Yeah.
the floor. So I don't know if you train anybody in that capacity, but I also am certified in teaching a course called Tai Chi, Moving for Better Balance. And by learning how to teach Tai Chi and also incorporating the balance principles, I try to incorporate a lot of activities like that as needed and as requested by the clients. So I even hesitate to say I do things a lot differently than you because I don't. I do a total body workout. We work out every major muscle group and then some. I mean, there's always a lunge and a squat and a rotation and a push and a pull and a press and a row.
That's
right.
That's
Everything
in a nutshell.
everything
Yes.
we do.
Yeah.
And I just put my Barb touch on it, right? Just like you put your Gregg
Yes.
touch on it. So that's, again, there is a consistency to it. I mean, there definitely has to be a consistency because for myself personally, I have practiced high strength training with you for this past decade. I know the results I have received, and I want to pass it on to my clients. And I know if I were to stray too far from the high strength program, they're not going to get the results, and they're not going to stay with me. And that was one of the things I forgot to mention. I am so blessed to have clients that have been with me for years.
Yes.
From the
Yes.
get-go. I mean, I have people who've been with me from the get-go. And then they refer people to me, and then they've stayed with me. And I've had a very high retention rate with my clients. I mean, and I attribute that to the fact that they're getting results.
Tip the hat to you.
Thank you.
I'm very happy to hear
Well,
that.
thank you.
So one other question, I think, and then we'll probably wrap it up. But the final question I have is, where do you see yourself in the fitness industry in the next 5 years or so?
Doing exactly what I'm doing, to tell you the truth. I love it. It's a winning formula. Like I said, I've retained clients. I still attract new clients. As now that I'm postmenopausal, I find that my peers are coming to me because they're like, "Hey, you look pretty good for your age," and I'm like, "Well, thank you very much." and all I can tell them is that I can tell you what I do and what I teach and what I know, and I encourage them, try it and see for yourself. And if it's for you, well, then they're hooked and they're with me, ad nauseum. And that's where I hope to continue the same route that I'm on.
Very good. I'm going to echo that sentiment. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I feel the same way she does. If we didn't launch the franchise piece of the business, for example, I would still be doing the one-on-one, probably the rest of my life in some degree, fashion or another, just because it is so rewarding. It's an incredibly exciting and fun career. I mean, really, that just sums it up. It's a great way to make a living. It's a great way to be. It's a great way to live. And it's a great way to lead by example.
Absolutely.
So, Barb, thank you so much for the interview. Thank you for our relationship over the years.
Thank you. I'm so grateful to both of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Good.